I welcome everybody to join in today with our chat as we tackle the subject of, is my house haunted? I honestly have to ask, and I leave it up to you viewers, current and after this is done, to make your judgment. Leave a chat or a comment below and let us know. Is my house haunted? We're going to cover that subject as we draw. So let's go straight to the art. Well, that's our webpage. I need to drop it. Alright. Alright, there we go. Alright. We are drawing more Demon Blade this week. We were doing it last week. We're doing it again this week. Simply because I'm doing a lot of Demon Blade right now. This is actually the work in progress of the cover for Chapter 10. Trying to be a little bit creative with its design. Let's see here. I'm going to try and fade our little golem friend to show that we have 5 more characters to draw in this little scene. On top of the background, and then eventually we'll add the lettering and the logo at the top. But it's something we usually do. We also have some pages that we're working on that are for the current storyline. This was one we did a few days ago, a few weeks ago. Actually, it was last week. It was last week. This is the one we dealt with last week. I haven't done much with the background, but I have finished drawing it out. But yeah, tonight we are going to work on the cover mostly because it's what usually takes the most time for me to do is a cover. With Witchin, I kind of got away with not doing covers, and I don't plan to do covers. Maybe a special image here and there. But with Demon Blade, since we do full-on 38-page chapters, we will do covers. So that's what we're doing now. I put multiple layers here for our golem friend here. Just so I could draw him out properly. And I think I'll start with Mai up here. So, one of our main characters in the series. And very much what most of this story arc currently is based on Mai's story. So, we need to make sure we prominently feature in this chapter because it's building up to the fight at the end with chapter 12. Well, it starts in chapter 11. It goes through chapter 12, and the events end in chapter 14. So it's going to be a large fight, but chapter 10 is going to be a little bit of a more wacky incidents. Zany, kind of a humorous chapter, where they involve magic and American football. So we're going to see some strange stuff occur as we go through and draw this series in the next chapter. Now, there are ways to read Demon Blade, both this version and the previous version, through Amazon, Tapas, and Webtoons, as well as demonblade.com or comic.com. I have to say comic because it's demonblade.com is somebody else's work. The demonbladecomic.com, you're able to watch or read the comic in its full. So if you don't want to pay, even though it's also set up on Prime. If you're a Prime member, you can read Demon Blade for free. So, but yeah, demonblade.com for the comic. And I haven't pitched it in a while. Store/Embry Arts. We have a few Demon Blade arts. We have some eye shirts. And we have a few other items that have come about. And I plan to add some new ones coming the new year. Right now I don't have any plans for any yet, but I do know I'm working on some concepts of new products. I don't like the way that hair strip went. Okay, let's see. Down here. So, the topic of tonight, and we'll be covering it every few, I think it was 30 we're doing, every 30 minutes we cover a subject. Mainly wacky, some weird and wacky news stories of the week. But this week we have an official topic, which is my house, my home, to be precise, it's an apartment, is it haunted? And I'm going to leave that up to you, the audience. And if you want to name a ghost, what would you call them? I mean, you just want to say, hey, ghost. So, we're going to leave that up to you all tonight. And I'm going to explain a little bit of what's been going on in my apartment. I moved in literally the last day of July to this apartment complex, which has been here since the 1960s, I think. It is built up like an old motel. So it has sort of that first floor, small room scenario, but they have the building stretched out in multiple complexes. Probably I think 15, because they tell me when I get a delivery I need to say building 15, even though it's the first building you come to when you come in. So, but I don't know if one would say the place is haunted, but it certainly had this time. Now, personally, I like the idea of haunting, and yeah, I mean, Demon Blade is a comic about supernatural, Witchin's a comic about supernatural. I tell stories about the supernatural. Do I believe them? No. No. I believe it's human creativity with their minds getting to them. That being said, I've had some strange activity in the few weeks that I've been here. And the number one issue is I've had things move about. Either it's moved from where I set it down, or it's flung off of the place I put something. A good example is literally yesterday. I put my phone on the desk that I'm working from right now, and I set it down. I run to the bathroom, and all of a sudden I hear thump. And I turn around, and I see my phone has literally been tossed 4 to 5 feet away from the desk. And I mean, I like to explain it that it's likely I just put it on a uneven surface and that it flopped off. I can't vouch for that though, because it was flat on my desk. And the desk doesn't move. I mean, I can shake it, and we hear a little bit of rattling of my water bottle, but that's about it. It's a pretty sturdy desk. So that was a more common issue I've been dealing with since I moved here. It's been items either moving around or being thrown, which most people be like, oh, it's ghosts. But when you can't rule out logical senses, it kind of goes to the wayside, in my opinion. We do have a chart of the definitions that you know your house is haunted, given the charts from teen 17 or something like that. So take it with a huge grain of salt, because they're the same people who tell you your perfect match in romance and all that stuff, and it's not believable. If you buy into what they say, you really need to try and inform yourself on what they're doing, which is just trying to sell stupid issues of their comic, or of their stories. But we'll cover this subject a little more in depth as we get to it. That'll be at the 8 o'clock hour when we do that. For now, we're going to tell some strange stories when we get to the first half hour. And I definitely have some interesting stories tonight. Stuff I did not expect would be news this week has come up, and it's some strange stuff. And if you come across a news story you want me to chat about today, or not today, but any of the times we do these streams, which is almost every Tuesday, we are going to take a break next week because I don't know the situation with trick-or-treaters in this area, and it'd be right at peak trick-or-treating time, so I don't want to have to continuously explain that somebody came to the door for candy. I do have candy, and candy is shrunk. I bought this huge bag of like Reese's, Twizzlers, Jolly Rancher, Gummy Bear, Hershey's, and Kit Kat bar. And they're smaller than ever before. I mean, in the past, you get like 2 or 3 bites, depending on how big your mouth was. These are 1 bite, and they're gone. I mean, one of my coworkers told me that they got this similar before and opened up the packages of gummy bears, and they're like, yeah, there's only like 5 gummy bears. And I'm like, what? Like, the container is a lot of plastic, and you're putting 5 gummy bears? I mean, that's ridiculous. Mine's always the sporty one, so drawing her out in a football uniform, it's not that hard to imagine. So in this outfit, fairly common. I probably draw her something similar pretty regularly. But we also have Tetsu, And, well, they would not be in this outfit normally if it weren't part of the story. So, but the chapter, for those who don't know, the chapter in Demon Blade, which I've told before through the 2013 version, which was very crudely made, and it only really aired in Tapas, or well, before what was before Tapas, which was Ink Blazers. It was an Ink Blazers exclusive, and it was decently popular. But a lot of people were like, "Oh, you made a chapter with football?" And it's like, read it. It takes football to a place that I don't think I've ever seen anybody try and take football. And as someone who does not give a crap about football, to do a story with football, it's amusing. And I will say, over the rewrite, because what we did with Demon Blade between 2013, well, 2015 to be precise, because 2013 Demon Blade ran through 2015. It ran carrying basically the first 24 chapters of the series. Some of the chapters have changed, stories and whatnot in the 2015 version, and the look has changed because we were much crasser, much quicker, because we were doing them once a month with releases from 2013 to 2015. But this time, with 2015 release, which is what this is, we try to be a little more detailed, a lot more art-wise put together. And I'd like to say cleaner and a much richer story. We have more in depth with each of the characters. We go into great depth of reasoning behind villains and their actions, and just try to tell a bigger story in general. And we actually released this in print with Amazon. It's right now our only printed title. We are working on a novel to be re-released because we released it originally in digital. Amazon wanted us to clear up some things, and we're going to re-release it in both digital and print. But it's been a long process because it's editing 800 and some pages, which takes some time. But all right, I need to explain the 14 on my. I use, like most artists, I have little hidden things throughout the series. Numbers, other things. 14 is Mai's birthday, particularly February 14th, so Valentine's Day. When creating Mai, I wanted to have a snow because her name is literally Mai Snow. I wanted to have her own unique snow. So I wanted to give her a snow that ironically is on the day we celebrate love and heart, that it was Valentine's Day. And if you haven't read the series, Mai's, the whole Demon Blade is forged out of Mai's heart. Literally forged out of her heart. So there's that. Tetsu's not going to show it too much because Tetsu's over here. But they, and I always have to be gender specific with Tetsu / Tetra. Because they are trans. But Tetsu's also wearing their birthday, which is the 20th of June. I believe it's the 20th. I'd have to double check. But yeah, Tetsu also wears their birthday. And our main character, he's not a villain. He's not a villain. He's a character that joins and assists the party, which is the golem in this chapter. Wears the chapter number on his chest. So he wears number 10. So little nod to just a little hide of people's secret thrown in here, just giving them the numbers that equal their birthday or something. Ino, who is my sister in the comic, will also be in the game. And I believe hers is 05. Because hers is supposed to be, I think, April 5th. I think that's how I rolled it. And Ruth will be in it from the current chapter, but she will not be, being a 9-year-old, they're not going to put her in the football game. But she is playing in the game. Because she will be the one controlling the golem as they play. And that's a bit of a difference in the 2015 versus 13. 13, the golem just came to life through Mai's magic. And this time we're going to explain his personality. Because it's unique. It's unique, it's silly, and it's a great way for when I later have him show up that he has basically his personality shining. I gotta make Tetsu's scar. Tetsu's always got his scar. Technically, Mai has a scar as well, but Mai's scar is on her chest. And Tetsu's scars are on his neck and face. Just trying to keep an eye on the time so we can get to our stories for the evening. The reason I'm not drawing them with helmets on because it just makes this entire comic look a little weird without the characters showing their faces on the cover. This is by no means a sports comic. It's silly, wacky, supernatural comic with a lot of drama and romance. And a lot of action, of course, because you gotta fight the ghoulies. But yeah, there's not really a villain in this chapter. It's to set up the villain in chapter 11, 12, and 14, who's being set up also in the current chapter. So there's that. And I still don't know how I want Tetsu to fully look in the issue. I'm doing his basic look for the cover, but I may change elements of it in the future. We're going to be drawing the blade, which I don't think I have it in the chapter written at all. Definitely comes out next issue, but it doesn't come out in this chapter. It's in this current chapter at the beginning, but it's not, I think, in 10 at all. But we can put it on the cover. Okay, I'll make sure. Okay, this needs to actually be above our golem because they're going and interacting above him. And I always like to make the gauze / wrap on the blade have some characteristic. Okay. And I might as well draw in these guys below too. Rival football team. Geez. Okay. Got a little bit before our first story. Okay. Before we get going on that, let me go over a few things. Yeah, as I said, we're not going to do Drivel Draw next week, simply because of the holiday, and I don't know how many trick or treaters will come if they come at all. But because my setup's right at my door and window, it'd be very disturbing on the stream. So, what we're going to do is not have a stream next Tuesday. So, hopefully, everybody will have a good Halloween. We may be changing the schedule as we talked about before. This is our first time back since last Thursday. That was mainly due to health issues. We were not in the best of health Friday into the weekend. It took us till yesterday, technically, to fully recover. It's an ongoing thing, as I've discussed before in the stream, that health issues may cause problems in the future. And sadly, because I came down with pretty much a really nasty cold over the weekend, and it took me knocking myself out with meds to feel better. It would not have been a pleasant stream to listen to. I'll put it that way. Tomorrow, not on this channel, so I invite everyone to join us at Anime Anticlimax, which is hosted by Septum Sim versus the World. We will be reviewing the anime Ghost Stories. Right now, it's on for tomorrow. I don't know if that's going to change. We do have a history of that being a problem. But I think everybody has watched ghost stories this past 2 weeks because we've been chatting that way. And we definitely have opinions. Now, this is by far not my first time watching the series. Probably like my fifth or sixth. But we'll definitely have opinions. I don't want to go into it because we haven't talked about it yet. But for Thursday, we will be talking about the anime Under Ninja, which I definitely have a lot to say on that one. Wow. It's going to be a very chatty episode of that. But for now, we're going to hit our news story first. So let's pop up our webpage and hit our first news story, which is not going to be the ghosts. We are going to go with they finally caught him. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Mexican police have arrested a Chucky doll for threatening the public. I kid you not. Somebody in Mexico was walking around with a Chucky doll and a real knife and trying to play out the movie, I guess, somehow. Mexican authorities didn't take nicely to it, but they'd taken the PR a little funny. By actually arresting the doll. I don't know if they haven't heard. It's a horror movie, not a real thing. There are no possessed Chucky dolls that I'm aware of going around killing people. I say that, I might have one come around any moment. But, yeah. Just the silliness of an actual Chucky doll being arrested, handcuffed, and threatening people with a knife from Mexico. Beautiful. Beautiful. Whoever got arrested, dude, respect your game, man. Respect your game. He's not going to be the first criminal we talk about tonight. Or the last criminal we talk about tonight. But definitely a weird story. So the doll's owner, only identified it as Carlos N., was reportedly using the doll to scare people in the city's public square while under the influence of an illicit substance. Local media reports that Carlos N. set up the doll with a large knife, which he used to threaten people and demand money. I want to know if anybody actually gave him money. Dude, think about it. That's an awesome way to have a story to have. Be like, yeah, man, I got mugged by Chucky. Holy crap. The dude actually had the doll. It was a real knife, man. And he threatened to kill me if I didn't pay, man. And so I paid him. Dude. Wow. Both Carlos N. and the doll, which still had the knife sticking out of its overalls, were photographed for mugshots at the station. Why? Why are you taking mugshots of a doll? Come on. Mexico police, I know you're corrupt. A lot of you are corrupt. Not all of them, but a lot of you are corrupt. You gotta take pictures of the damn doll? Mugshots? So, you're telling me somewhere in wherever, let's see, this looks like it was Aztec area. Let's get the exact location. This is, okay, city of Monclova. So, you're telling me somewhere in the records of Monclova, there is a Chucky mugshot that is got to be sold by the company that makes those movies. They have got to get on that with marketing. The actual mugshot of Chucky. Oh, dude, that's so freaking wicked. Came in with it. All right. Let's see here. And the Chucky doll later reprimanded. The Chucky doll was reprimanded. Ironically, the terrifying doll made its first appearance. Okay, yeah. Film and Child's Play film. Okay. Since then, Chucky's appeared in 7 more films, even made a rated TV series. But that chapter of Chucky's story's one final twist. According to Mexico News Daily, Carlos N. was released shortly after his arrest, but it's unknown if the Chucky doll remained in police custody. Reuters reports the Chucky doll's whereabouts are still unknown. The suspect came with the doll. Well, the doll was taken away along with his belongings. Once he received the cells, he was locked up. Alicor told for forensics information informata Azteca. Did the doll remain in police custody? It's now collecting dust in some obscure processing room deep in Monacolova station. For now, the answer seems unclear, but those wandering around the city's public square should perhaps keep their eyes peeled for the doll with a shock of orange hair. It's too hilarious, man. Too hilarious. You arrest and mugshot a Chucky doll. Halloween, man. Absolute crazies. Alright, we'll get back to the arts. And then when we come back, we'll be talking about our main headline subject of the night. So, Chucky doll. I can say I've probably watched maybe 1 and 2 of Child's Play. I've not really cared for most horror movies. I think I probably enjoy slashers more than any of the others. So Child's Play is probably more up my alley if I watch a horror movie. But yeah, I mean, give me Freddy Krueger. Give me Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger is a laugh a minute. Now, if the guy was dressed up as Freddy Krueger and, threatening for money, I would honestly be scared. But arresting the Chucky doll, the doll, not the person, the doll got arrested. I mean, I'd say it was a gimmick, but I don't know. It's good PR for the movies. So. Let's see here. We're going to put this here. So, yeah, our subject of the evening being my house is haunted. Maybe. I'm leaving that up for you guys to decide. So, as I said, I've had some stuff move about, had some stuff thrown about. Most people would be like, yeah, you're on. But for me, I still think there's too many logical explanations. But we have more to go on. Because that's not the only weird thing that's happened in this place. I have been finding a water spot. Now most people be like, oh, your roof's leaking. No, there's no evidence of a roof leak. Oh, well, it's coming from the bathroom, the sink. No, because it'd be near the bathroom or the sink. Now, these water splotches are being found sort of in in between my kitchen and my living room / bedroom because it's a studio apartment. But yeah, no water around it, just one water spot, and it'd be a big enough water spot to be like, where did this come from? So I have this watery spot that keeps showing up every now and then. No explanation on how it got there. No explanation where it's coming from. Just, it's a water spot. And that I think stranges me out more than the stuff moving. Because it's like, I'm worried that there is a leak. And I'd be like, okay, well, where's the leak? The ceiling's dry. There's nothing there. I can even go up in the attic. There's no leak. But I find water in the middle of an area that doesn't have anywhere for the water to come from. Now, not too long after I got here, the sewage broke. And sewage kept coming up through the pipes. I still have a bug problem coming up through those same pipes. It was horrendous. But we got that taken care of. But what's strange about that is none of my neighbors reported it. I was the first to report sewage water coming up through my apartment. And it wasn't like I was reporting it in the middle of the day where no one's really noticed. It was like 8 to 10 o'clock at night. Actually, it was 10 to 11 at night. And the smell, just horrific smell coming in through, and just having raw sewage in my tub. Just something really kind of disgusting. Try and do his number here. I forget what I named the opposing football team. I think it's Saint something. Your rival school. And as I explained last week, Demon Blade takes place in a fictional town, which is based on a real location. It's based off of Mount Hood in Oregon. Now, I can honestly say, I don't remember if I've been through Mount Hood. I've been through Portland, I've been through the Cascades, and Mount Hood is sort of, it borders Oregon and Washington, and it's right there at the Cascades in between the two states. So it's kind of, it's small little mountain town, and that's the way we play off Winchell. And as a small, almost South Park, like podunk small town in Oregon that's still, well, it's up to date and current. It's got kind of that, old Westy time vibe about it. There's snow in there throughout the season, winter season. And it's a good setting for the series. And of course, now, other parts like Shiroi is a real place. It is located in Hokkaido, Japan. It is right along sort of the southern coastline. And if you ever get a guide or whatnot, they have a place called Hell's Valley. and that is around Shiroi. Shiroi has this volcanic hot springs that is just amazing. And it's sort of littered through this town. And it gives me sort of multiple elements to go for it because you have the sea for the water, you have woods around there, you have mountains, you have volcanoes, which are of course volcanoes, you have hot springs, and you also have the mystery of the Ainu, which is a real group. It is the native people of Japan, not Japanese, but sort of the indigenous people. They're a mixture of Japanese and Russian. If you watch the series or read the series Golden Cowboy, you know about the Ainu. Occasionally, anime will reference the Ainu, but outside of Golden Cowboy, there's not really a good treatment of Ainu and their culture. I mean, Golden Cowboy kind of respects it a lot. And in Demon Blade, you'll see more of that as the series goes on, because we'll go back to Japan at a certain point, and the story will be taking place in Shiroi or events around Shiroi. But for the first few chapters, I think the first almost 50, I'd like to say, all take place pretty much inside of Winchell. And the reason I chose that is pretty much it comes down to Asian population in the U.S. The mountains helped because it's almost reflects Shiroi's culture a bit. Outside, it has ocean on Shiroi, and Fort Hood / Winchell is a river. No real ocean in the story. But relatively the same setup. But it helps to have sort of this isolated mountain town be this place for the setting, making the chaos that happens between Mai's actions or Tetsu's actions or an actual demon's action, or a villain in this series. It keeps them isolated. They're not doing some world domination factor from, a small town. Okay. Let's see here. Scaling is definitely my friend in this chapter. Try and put his hand in here. It's gripping. The golem for this chapter, I designed him even in 2013. I might pull up an image for you guys of him, how I've drawn him in the past. But when designing his look, particularly in the 2013, which led into his look when I started the 2015 revision of the series, I knew I wanted his main body to be sort of the tackling dummy. You'd see So that's what we got, sort of a tackling dummy, and his arms are made up by rock and stone. 2015, I did the change to make two more tackling dummies, his forearms. His feet are just pure earthen. But I also gave him a little turf over the head, which, if I pull him back up, let's see here. I keep trying to do it with my mouse and not on the mouse. So if I bring him up, you can see he's got his grassy hair. And we can bring this up to life. And yeah, I mean, you can see I've gone through the painstaking to try and do a textured arm. In the comic, I might switch to a little bit of an easier way to do the textured arm. But for the cover, I was like, no, I need to make this arm look as textured and detailed as I can. Because you want your cover to pop. You want people to be drawn into your artwork. And the cover's got to sell you on the comic. And so, yeah, drawing this out, I needed them to be more detailed. And I think this is my third or fourth time making this cover. Mainly because I just did not like how I had the image popping up. The idea was always to have Mai and Tetsu sort of in the same image as the golem, dealing with a rival football team on the field. So this was probably the best way I could draw it out. And I do like little small notes that I put in here, like the jump rope, or doing the texture of the hair, or even just the ground under the hair. In the past, he kind of just stood bald. Let me see if I can. Let me see. I'm trying to pull up. Oh, no, that's not it. That's not it. I'm sure I've got an image here somewhere. Yeah, I do. Oh, well, crap. All right, well, just add one. All right. Image. Add source. New source. Let me find one real quick. I'm gonna show. All right, where's our 2013 folder files? Here we go. Should be book 2. No. Chapters. Here we go. Was it still chapter 10? Yes. Yes. All right. So I'm going to pull up what our golem looked like in the past. Find a good image. All right. This was the golem of the past. Little less detail. I kind of went more into the creation of him there as being the dummy, and less of him being partially earth based. Let me go and see if I can get the drawing. Let's see, it should be in the art files. Let's see. Art. No, not character art. one of the illustrations I've done. Where is it? Ah, here we go. So, this is how I drew him for the early development in our 2015 artwork. So, if ever people want to see the color of some of the characters, we've got Tetra in female, of course, female form of Tetsu. We have Ruth in the background. We have Hachi being the giant dog that he is. Lori, who won't be introduced if you're reading the series currently and following it. Lori won't be introduced until chapter, I'd like to say 18. She was introduced in the original series. That's why she was put in the promos. We have Mino, the Minotaur cat slash mascot, cow mascot. Mino there in the blonde. Hugh, Sarah in the background. And you've got also Roland and Kyle also in there as the friends. And yeah, this is the first time I introduced the logo because I wanted to go through so many things. The logo of the school's mascot team, which is the werewolves. Just to play more into it, just to play a bit more into sort of that supernatural story. Why wouldn't, I could have gone with witches, but I actually have a decent story with werewolves that'll appear much later in the series. Not in 50, but you're talking like 40 some or something like that. Where the werewolves come in to play. They're not going to be a villain. It's just going to be a bit of fun with them at that point. But such is the case with any of my Demon Blade artwork. I kind of like seeing how it develops, how characters develop. Going into 2015, I knew I wanted to put more of Tetsu's story in the forefront. 13 ended at kind of an appropriate part. It ends basically, if you read the series so far in the 2015, you've met Mai's father, Mai and Ino's father, and he's an asshole. The second arc is based on him. It's called the Spring Break arc, because his name is Spring. And so it was the end of the arc. We told the story, so people also know eventually Kyle, being Tetsu's love interest, eventually gains powers to help out and join the team. Particularly healing, he's the healer of the group, which is good because as the series goes, they get some pretty nasty incidents occur to them, and the characters definitely could use some healing. Plus, you get the dynamic of Tetsu, Kyle, and the love triangle with Mai as well, where Mai loves Tetsu, Kyle loves Tetsu, but more so as Tetra, and Tetsu likes them both, but doesn't want to upset Mai, and it's very indecisive. Tetsu is very indecisive on what they want. part of the problem that's going to be the first 24 chapters of the series, that Tetsu doesn't make up their mind on who they like. And even after Mai's so finicky and stubborn, she's not willing to let Tetsu and Kyle just be a thing. But they're not going to fight each other over them. It's just friendly rivalry. It's a way to introduce a rivalry and bring in Kyle having an issue with Mai and vice versa. But the two of them know if they went in a real fight, Mai would seriously kick Kyle's ass. I mean, for God's sake, in the current version, you guys got to see a brief moment of my take on the character, Glenn, or Thug, as he's probably called, Thaddeus Harris Glenn. The dude throws this strong punch that breaks through cinder block, and Mai catches it with her pinky. So, Mai ain't exactly scared. She doesn't really get scared until later in the series. And even then, she's not exactly cowardly or scaredy. Because she's so much more of a badass in her own mindset. And in a sense, yes, she is a badass. I'm trying to pull up these stickers that I've done before so I can use them as color references. That's I know I have a Tetra. I do not have a Tetsu sticker. And Tetra's sticker is her ultimate outfit for this current arc, which is her dress for homecoming. Oh, I drew the scar in black, and I should be doing it pink with Tetsu. Like I said, I try to be original in the outfits I put them in each series or each episode. Mine usually goes tomboyish. Tetsu, even in boy form, Tetsu tends to go more effeminate. And I mean, one, I follow color schemes, but I also follow sort of their personalities and their wear. So Tetsu usually wears these sort of flowing and flapped outfits. Mai tends to wear is just something tight, maybe a little bit revealing. It helps that she's a Yukiona, and I don't know why Cranberry's open. This was a character design that was requested. Come on. I don't know why I opened it, but we'll go with it. I didn't do Tetsu's nose. No, nose. All right. Ah, it's time. All right. We've hit our time here. Let's move on to the next webpage part. So, as I said, the main topic of the evening is my house haunted? So we're going to be using the Teen Vogue website. Has Is My House Haunted? 10 signs to look for. So now we've talked about the water puddle, and we talked about stuff moving and being thrown, both in the house. So make what you will if you think it's haunted or not. But we're going to go over these 10 possibilities. And hey, if you think your house may be haunted, here's a good way to go down it. So, you've experienced a strange, creepy feeling like somebody's watching you. Not really. I mean, I always kind of get a little bit of that feeling, but I've had that throughout my life. I don't feel it's been that different when I came in to this apartment. So I don't think that's the case. They're saying, oh, this is a sign. Well, a lot of people get that. It's called anxiety. 2, odors inexplicably emerge from localized area during a specific time of day. Not technically. And I can source them as mostly the trash or the sewer pipes, something that can be tracked down to it being a fairly normal common occurrence. Nothing that I'd be like, no. It's so that's 2 no's. Weird sounds like whispering voices that might indicate another being in trying to get your attention. Yeah, maybe. I can't tell if it's my neighbors. The apartment's actually relatively quiet. I don't really hear my neighbors if they have TVs on or something. But every now and then, I'll hear something. I can't tell if it's my neighbors or not. So, I'm gonna have to say maybe? I just don't know. It'd be up to you all to make that decision. But, I mean, yeah, I've heard things I don't know the source to, but I mean, it's an apartment building. I'm gonna hear my neighbors eventually. They may be hearing me right now. You're having a real Joyce Byers moment with the lights in your house. Yes. This was the first creepy thing that happened. When I bought this desk that I sit at, it has LED lights. I turned on the LED lights, got to doing some other things, setting up the computer properly, and the lights have been flickering. And it'll still do it. It'll do it every now and then. The lights will flicker. And I won't touch the controller. That's the control. It's a little tiny control. I am never near it when it does this. And the lights just flicker. Now, the main light in the kitchen, that's not flickered. So, yes and no. I can't tell if it's the desk just being weird. But then the other part of this that makes it truly on the edge of maybe something supernatural. I will wake up in the morning and the lights are on. The desk lights were turned off. There were no access to the remote. The remote is on my desk, nowhere near my bed, and the lights are on. I'll come home and the lights are on. And I'm not turning them on. So either somebody has the same signal of something turning them on, or I just don't know. It's creepy. It really is. Number 5. Frigidly cold areas of the room when a sudden drop in temperature. Yeah, kind of. I've only been noticing it recently. But I take it as I have an AC/heater unit right at my window. I only have one window. And there are points, and it was just like this yesterday, where I would come into the house and it would be like dramatically frozen cold. It'd be 40 degrees in a room that I try to keep at 70. However, I do have to state I have a large window and it's right next to the door. And those could easily be leaking temperatures, and why my heater didn't kick on to make it warmer, I don't know. All right, this is where the lights would come on. So TVs, electronic devices turning on and off can be a signal that the entirety is pulling, or entity is pulling energy from the power source. It's not done to my TV. I don't know if it's done to a video game console. I don't really have much in the way of electronics that it could. And it can do it to the fridge, I guess. It can do it to the microwave. The blender only operates when I work it. If I start hearing that, then yeah, it's paranormal. But the desk lights, they keep coming on. And I don't know how or why. Maybe my desk is haunted. I mean, I bought it off of Amazon, brand new. I hope it's not haunted. Maybe it came from a haunted store. Dino Enormous, hi, how's it going? Number 7, you have a peripheral ghost sighting. So this is, you see something at the corner of your eye. I'm gonna say no. No. I've had incidences where I've seen things, but those tend to be hallucinations from exhaustion. Yeah, if you ever want to get a real trippy time, just don't go to sleep for 3 days. Don't at all. And you'll start seeing things. All right, hard-nosed booty. Hello, sorry for bothering you. I wanted to offer. Okay. Convenient over management panel, chat panel. Yeah. Somebody trying to spam us here. Thanks for the chat bot. All right, number 8. Missing objects are found in strange areas of your home. Again, I've had things move around on me. My place is not big. But finding things in the kitchen that I know I put on my desk, or stuff in the bathroom that I didn't put there, definitely on the weird factor. Definitely. Number 9. You have strange dreams you've never experienced before. In the night, feel a sensation of touch, as though something or someone is reaching out to you. This is my normal life. I have been plagued with nightmares most of my life. And dreams, very vivid dreams. Demon Blade came about because of a dream. Witching came about because of a dream. Most of the series I've created were caused by dreams. Or nightmares. And so I can't say it alone has occurred here. Because it's occurred other places. Maybe I'm haunted. Could be. Number 10, I'm going to tell you is a no. Your pets are acting strange. I don't have a pet. I wish I had a pet. Wish I had a cat. But right now, no pet. So, yeah. If I start seeing a pet in my house, that's already strange. But given there are a lot of cats around my apartment, it wouldn't be too surprising. I mean, there has to be at least almost 24 strays in the neighborhood. So, yeah, that my neighbor across from me feeds the squirrels. So the squirrels are very timid around here. So that doesn't help matters either. So if you're saying yes to these 10, they're saying, oh, well, it's time to get rid of the ghost. Okay. This is where my skepticism starts coming in. Ghost them, literally. Leave them alone. Yeah. Most of the time, I've seen in ghost shows or ghost stories or things that I've read about the paranormal, usually that doesn't go well. It does say, do not play with Ouija boards. I'm in agreement, mainly because the mentality, it gets in your head. I feel a lot of ghost interactions, ghost situations for people is more they did something to get in their head. And a Ouija board kind of opens your head up to perceiving things. So don't play with a Ouija board. Cleanse your living space. Burn lavender in every room. Well, I have lavender products. Does that count? I mean, if I get an air freshener with lavender, does that count? Wash your floors with ammonia. Well, I use a Swiffer wet. Does that have ammonia in the chemical? Get fresh air circling throughout the home. This will detox any ghoulish vibes. I mean, I normally do this stuff. Why would I need to clean it that way? Protect yourself. Place a black tourmaline stone in the corner of the room to ensure that you are out of harm's way. This stone will protect you from negativity. I have a tourmaline black beaded bracelet. I wear it. I don't exactly feel negative from it. Bring in positivity. Well, we try to. I mean, that's why we do these streams. We try to be positive, bring some light in the world. And so, yeah. Be salty. Pour salt. Pour, and they're saying black salt. Okay. Here's the thing. Salt comes in many varieties. Of course, most people know pink these days. But usually you have your table salt. They're suggesting black salt. All right, black salt is one of the rarest salts. It's going to cost you a lot to just get that salt. As history and reading on paranormal, reading on what people have stated in the past, you don't need black. Don't waste your money. Get yourself some table salt. It's fine. You just need salt. But if you're going to do it, keep in mind, you're putting salt all over your floor and whatnot. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. I even joke about it in the first few issues of Demon Blade. It's nonsense. Make your dreams sweeter. All right. Does anybody really know how to 100% control your dream, it ain't happening. You're going to dream whatever your messed up brain tells you at night. That ain't happening, people. No sweeter dreams. And number 7, get help from a professional. Hold on. Let me do this. Where am I? Okay. I'm not unlock. We're gonna scroll up, and I'm gonna do this properly. Nope. If anybody says they're a professional ghost hunter, they're lying to you. There's no such thing, and they're absolutely bupkis. With no scientific proof that ghosts exist, you cannot have that job. Sorry. It's a cold, hard truth. All right, I'm not moving the mouth. Add that to the creepy list. Why? Why is my mouth moving? All right, let me lock this back up here. Actually, no, let's lower it a bit. All right, there you go. All right. Now, so we've covered that all up. I presented my arguments, and like I said, I'm gonna leave this one up to you guys. Do you think I got a ghost? Leave a comment, chat about it, whatever. And hey, if you think we do, give the ghost a name. Let me get a name to call our ghosty. Yeah, that's just interesting. It's just something silly I wanted to let the audience take part of. And that's our main topic for the night. So we're going to get back to the art. Oh, wrong thing. Where is the web page? There we go. All right. So we're getting away from our ghostly topic of the day. And we're going to talk more, since we're not going to have a Halloween broadcast. Let's talk about this holiday. For those who don't know, the origins of Halloween, technically Irish. Technically. It's more Irish and American than anything. The celebration of St. Hallows Eve has always been sort of a thing for, well, All Hallows Day, to be precise. It's always been a thing with the Catholic Church for years. And years ago, I think it's Scottish. Maybe it's Scottish. I could be wrong. It's Irish or Scottish. That the celebration became a bit rowdy. It was a scenario for people to just go out on the street and be total dicks. Total dicks. You go out and cause mischief. Because it's mischief night, basically, is what they would call it. You go around, torment things. The most humorous one I've heard of late was originally you would go and steal your neighbor's cabbage and then pelt their house with it. I kid you not, the origins of Halloween is us throwing cabbages at our neighbors. Oh my god. I want this tradition back. It'd be so funny. watching so many people go around the road and pelt each other with cabbage. No, I mean, eventually we switched over to pumpkins. And the tradition of dressing up for Halloween started in a town, I believe it was in Kansas, where they wanted to have an event that prevented the youth from going around and just being total assholes for one night of the year. So they devised trick or treating. And this was somewhere around the late 1800s to early 1900s that they came up with this. That they would take All Hallows Eve and create what is called trick or treating. They made it a mandatory event, and they made or held these contests for kids to wear costumes. And when we talked about this 3 weeks ago, I think it was 3 weeks ago, when we did the costumes, they were creepy as hell. We showed some of the costumes that stream. You can go and check it out by going back and see where we talk about costumes, the creepy costumes of the past. And yeah, I mean, you see the costumes from the 20s, 30s, and 40s. They're downright creepy. But most of those were homemade. Then we got some creepy in a different sense come the 70s to 80s to 90s. Which was, I was born in 1978. And so, yeah, I grew up in the 80s and the 90s. I don't remember anything from the 70s. It's too early for me to have had memories. But, yeah, trick-or-treating started in that sense and has since spread. Now, it's treated a bit differently across the world. The more interesting for me has been Japan. Halloween was not a thing until like the mid 2020 or yeah, the mid thousands, to 2008, I'd say, to probably 2013. Halloween didn't exist in Japan, but Cowboy Bebop, the movie, kind of introduced it to Japan. And since then, Japan has had essentially just one big rambunctious drunk fest where you get dressed up in costume and have a stupid good time in Shibuya. If you are watching Jujutsu Kaisen, you know the current story arc is happening at that very festival, Halloween in Shibuya. It is going back to the Mischief Night concept, which is amusing to see from Japan, where they're so uppity and reserved to have this drunken night of raunchiness that is Halloween in Japan. Gone is the trick-or-treating. They don't really do the trick-or-treating. Although, I think since probably the last 10 years, most trick-or-treating's kind of gone away. Most people have been doing trunk-or-treat, or where you go around to people's cars in a church parking lot or something like that. Or go to a sponsored trick-or-treat where they feel it's, quote, safer. Not necessarily. I mean, it's the big worry about poisoned candy or razor blades in the apples. It's all fake. Um, there was one incident, one back in Texas, back in the 70s, where a father had intentionally poisoned his kid with a poison pixie stick. So yeah, the whole incident that derives the Candyman legend is from this one incident. The whole fear, oh, check your candy. It could have poison. Now, since then, over the last 2 or 3 years, we've had the problem of people giving out pot candy or worse, fentanyl candy. And yeah, that's gonna kill a kid. And even if you're not doing it intentionally, you're gonna go to jail on that one because yeah, don't give kids pot candy, and especially do not give kids fentanyl of any sorts. I mean, you are going to kill somebody, if not yourself, with that stuff. I don't want to sound like a negative Nancy, but fentanyl is an end of life drug. Don't take it. Ever. Ever. But yeah. Oh, we've hit another half hour. So, we haven't done much drawing this time, but we're going to hit one of our stories. So, we're going to, let's see here. Well, my web page is here. All right, we've talked about the Mexican police arresting Chucky. Let's go to another holiday and to give some sad news. And before I place this on the screen, warning. If you are a child that believes in Christmas, turn off the streamer now. Do not watch this. I don't want to ruin your childhood. I'll give you a warning to do this. And 1, 2, 3. Archaeologists believe they've discovered the tomb of Santa Claus. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, they have found the tomb of the great St. Nicholas. Old St. Nick is dead. I hate to tell you people that, but he was a Catholic saint from about the 700s. So yeah, the man's been dead. So I hate to ruin this around Halloween episode, but yeah, they think they found the historic tomb of the real St. Nicholas, who is the inspiration for Santa Claus over the years. The real St. Nicholas, if you've never read some of the wildly humorous stories of the real St. Nicholas, it is amazing stuff, man. He supposedly brought back children that were mutilated and eaten by a cannibal. He brought them back to life? Yeah. New Christmas theory. Santa is a ghost. I can believe that. Yeah. He must be, according to archaeologists in Turkey. They found his grave, buried beneath St. Nicholas Church in the town of Damarin. Seriously, you didn't think all this time to look for his grave and the church bearing his name? Seriously. For centuries, the location of the grave of St. Nicholas of Myra, the inspiration of the modern day Santa Claus, has been contested. Historical records have claimed that he was buried at the church that bears his name, but extensive searches of the grounds revealed nothing of substance. Meanwhile, many believe that his remains had been smuggled out of the church by Italian merchants during medieval times. After all, there was an empty grave in the building, and it had clearly been looted, and the body of the man thought to be St. Nicholas was laid to rest in Italy during the Crusades. However, the head of Antilea's Monument Authority, Kimlin Bayram, told the local news that he and his team have found a shrine beneath the floors of St. Nicholas Church, previously unseen due to tiled floor intricate mosaic. He said that they found the shrine during a routine survey. They uncovered what they believed to be a tomb, which may hold the remains of the real St. Nicholas, as the man had been laid to rest in Italy. Some experts now say those remains may belong to another person, and the grave once thought to hold St. Nicholas may have held someone else. Though the discovery is yet to be proven via excavation, Kama Bayram is determined to follow through with the next step, even though it will be long, tedious, and complicated process to complete. We believe the shrine has not been damaged at all, but it's quite difficult to get to. As there are mosaics on the floor, he said, each tile will need to be removed one by one so the floor can be returned to its present glory. Still, Kara Bam remains optimistic what he will find St. Nicholas. He plans to hire a new team, comprised of scientists with 8 different specialties, to work at the site. The groundwork has already begun, and Kari Bam says the team will hopefully unearth the shrine's secrets soon. Many locals would likely be thrilled by the discovery of St. Nicholas's remains, a strong fixture in the area. Another church in town even plays host to St. Claus, or to the Santa Claus Museum, and the sarcophagus pays tribute to the famed saint. 4th century, okay, so I was wrong. 4th century, so even later. 4th century Greek bishop St. Nicholas of Myra was revered for his generosity, especially towards children. He was known for popularizing the tradition of leaving secret gifts for loved ones around the holidays. This gave the rise to the Dutch legend of Sinterklaas, and later Santa Claus. So, here's the thing. People who, especially around Christmas, like to say, oh, well, Nordic legends had the character beforehand, and Greek/Roman had it beforehand. They're right and wrong. The basis of St. Nicholas does more originate from the actual St. Nicholas. Now, the look is based off of more of Odin, which was the Norse connection, and Christmas was definitely taken from Yule, which was Nordic, which was they'd literally grab a tree, burn it, and celebrate the coldest, darkest night as they welcome the new sunrise, essentially. It's little wonder why St. Nicholas is one of the most famous Christian figures of all time, but while much has been said about his life and legends, little is known for sure about his death. And only time will tell whether we get a full answer about his final resting place. So, yeah, the grave of Santa Claus may have been found. So, yeah. definitely a little uneasy, but still fits into the kind of the topic of the night. I hate to say it. Most of these topics, we have one that won't fit, but we'll get to that one last. So that'll be our last story of the night. We're gonna go on to the art again. And yeah, the grave of Saint Nicholas. Wow. It's more interesting than weird, I guess, story, but still something appropriate for the night. Um, oh, I left them open. Great. Okay. So yeah, it's this series, this show, since we started it about a month ago, uh, definitely has taken on. Excuse me. Definitely, it's taken on its own unique taste. Of course, we do Dining and Doodles on Saturdays. We didn't last week. We're going to do it this week. I'm going to force myself to do it. Even if we delay the art or the game streams. I am still debating whether or not I might cut back to one game stream a week. Simply because my health. It's hard to sit here and stay. I'll do a full week of all the streams on schedule, and I mean it's a matter of the pain and nausea, as well as another area that becomes a problem. And when they kick in, it's kind of hard to sit. At work, I just basically live off of pain meds that I have. They're tame pain meds. They're not. They're the equivalent of a stomach version of Tylenol. That specifically targets there. But the nausea is the main issue. When it gets really bad, like it did Friday night and Saturday, I can't focus. Because I feel like I want to get sick all the time. And that's not pleasant. It's not pleasant. I've been nursing my health back, particularly this week with rice bowls. Now that I have a microwave, I'm able to cook rice in the microwave to my disdain. I much prefer a rice cooker, but I don't have one at the moment. But I make do with what I got. So I just fix a cup of rice in the microwave and add a little protein here and there, maybe some vegetables. But since my stomach doesn't like vegetables, and that's not me saying, oh, I don't like vegetables. I love vegetables. My stomach, however, will not digest them. So I'm kind of stuck in a situation where I can eat vegetables and they're going to make me feel sick. Or I cannot eat vegetables and not get the nutrients / vitamins I need outside of a vitamin pill. And the same as with fruit. I mean, and nuts. And that's disheartening. I lived off of nuts for so long. Along with fruit and vegetables. I mean, there was a point I could say it was almost vegan, more vegetarian, because I didn't give up dairy. I still eat dairy to this day. But yeah, now I can't have any of those. I got almost a pantry full of nuts that I can't get rid of. Because I can't eat it. I can't eat them. Because they won't digest. And they're the good stuff. They're blue diamond and pistachios as well. It's like, oh, I have to give them up. But at the same time, I don't wanna. But I gotta listen to my health. I gotta listen to my stomach. And so, yeah, I have such a limited choice of vegetables and fruits. It's insane. I can have squashes, I can have cucumber, I can have tomato. All of which I don't mind. But, I mean, and I can have peppers. I can't have any berry, even though technically a tomato's a berry. But, I mean, I love strawberries. I'm still having them in a smoothie in the morning, or cherries in the smoothie this morning. Because things like cherries, they're great for anti-inflammatory. So if you're in a lot of pain, cherry, particularly cherry juice, is a good way to kind of shrink down the inflammation in the body. Just drinking that, having some of that helps with that. Strawberries are just too good, too good. One of my favorite fruits. I lived off of strawberries as a kid. Can't have apples either. Can't have anything fibrous. And as you get older, like I'm getting, the doctors are like, well, you need more fiber. But in my case, they're like, no, you can't have fiber. And the only way I can get fiber is drink pineapple juice. That's the only way I can ingest it. I'm sure there's maybe other drinkable ways, but the way for me to really take it in and enjoy it is pineapple juice, and not some processed pineapple juice, the real stuff, the pure pineapple. I'm looking at you, doll. Well, technically, I use the, what is it? Simply brand of pineapple juice. Simply because it's just raw. It tastes better too. I mean, it's part of the reason. So, but yeah, not having nuts is really kind of making me down in my flavors. I mean, some people would be like, "Oh, well, you can have, peanut butter." I'm like, yeah. Here's my problem with peanut butter. When you go through homelessness, the one thing everybody gives you is peanut butter. And I liked peanut butter for so long. But after literally being given 5 to 7 jars a week of that stuff, I don't want any more peanut butter. I am tired of it. I mean, mayonnaise also has been thrown off over my recent homelessness. But that's more a matter of somebody giving me rancid mayonnaise, and being like, "Oh, no, no, this is good. It's good." No, 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 no. It was rancid. I got food poisoning because you wouldn't refrigerate your mayonnaise. You tried to kill me. But yeah. I mean, I'll figure something out to do with the nuts. I mean, if it means getting a grinder and making like almond butter out of the blue diamond almonds, or I don't even know what to do with pistachios. I mean, one, I'd have to shell them all, which isn't pleasant when I could eat them. They're delicious, but the shelling process is just the worst part of pistachios. Maybe I ought to give them away for years. Here, kid, have some peanuts. Have some almonds. I want candy. Tough kid. I was a brat when I was a kid. I explained before when I was a kid and we trick or treated. We had that one neighbor, that one jerk of a neighbor, who gave out pennies. Like, gee, thanks, 4 pennies. 5 pennies to get a piece of candy at the 7-Eleven, but you couldn't give me that extra penny. No, no, no. You had to give me 4. Like, well, you could have earned that other penny. Like, dude, it's Halloween. It's Halloween. You should know the routine here. We ask for candy. You give us candy. You don't give us useless coins that by now should not even be something in the United States used as currency. Because when have you ever needed a crap ton of pennies? And you can tell this person was the cheapskate. They probably bought $10 of pennies. Not even that, actually. $5 of pennies. And just gave pennies out to each kid. Like, wow, you're a real cheapskate. Like, well, it's Halloween, and candy will rot your teeth. Like, screw you, old man. I have teeth to go. You know, when you don't have all your permanent teeth in, it's worth rotting them out. You know, you don't need to worry about that. You need to worry about stuff like, how am I going to get the most amount of sugar in my system before I have to go to school? All right. Well, we're almost to the next story. Good Lord. We've been going through them real fast. Now, when we return in November, we will be doing maybe, I mean, there'll still be topical stories that we'll do for each stream of Drivel Draw. But we'll be doing more of the weird stories of the week. But we'll still cover subject or topic subject. It may get more random. We may take suggestions from people and put them on like a cue card, and that'll be our topic for the day. It it'll determine. I mean, we'll definitely talk about Thanksgiving stuff next month. When it gets closer to that. I know my northern neighbors in Canada, you, I think, already had your Thanksgiving. Because I think it's like the 10th of October or something. Somewhere around there. But here in America, it's the last Thursday of the month of November. And I don't know, I might do something special on Thanksgiving and Black Friday. Because I work a government job. State government, but still a government job. So we're off pretty much from the afternoon of Wednesday, and we don't return until that Monday, the next Monday. So we might do an extended gaming stream on that Friday. And I might do a watch along of not anime. I'll see about maybe some other animated series that's probably on YouTube. If we can get permission to do a watch along. I would say maybe Hell of a Boss. Of course, what is it? Has Been Hotel won't start until January on Prime, which I'll be able to watch because I have Prime. But why did they do that? That put that stuff on his. Oh no, I'm in the right spot. Okay, I thought I did that on the wrong layer, but it's not. Okay. So I mean, I definitely will check out Has Been Hotel when it comes out. I'm gonna be judgmental about it. Now, I mean, it's been what 4, 5 years since the promo or the what do you call it? It's not a premiere. It probably is a promo of the show that came out on YouTube, and since then they've changed the entire voice cast because Amazon requested it. But we might do a watch through of that when it gets there. For now, no, not gonna happen. But I will have to try to first get permission to do that because I don't want to do it without the approval of the creator. One thing that we do need to touch upon that we're going to be talking about on Dining and Doodles this week. An issue that came up with what we drew 2 weeks ago. I'm going to, since it derived from Dining and Doodles, we're going to do it on Dining and Doodles. We're going to talk about it. But the person who placed in their request on Dining and Doodles for the last stream we did lied. It was not their character. They have now gotten in a lot of trouble with, and it was mainly because of our stream. They got in a lot of trouble with the original creator of the character. And we will be addressing the issue more on the stream that's about. So I'll be addressing that on the stream for Saturday. But for now, we've reached the half-hour mark on our third hour. It's time to bring up the next story. Again, warning, there was, Tomb of Santa. Tomb of Santa found. Okay. Now, it is Halloween. It is the time of Halloween. It's time for decorating. Put out your decorations, make something spooky, make something creepy. Unless your decoration is not a decoration. Man's dead body mistaken as a Halloween decoration. A man from China Grove, North Carolina, was mistakenly thought to be a Halloween yard decoration after his dead body was discovered by a lawn care worker. Now, I'm going to correct this story right now. The lawn care worker didn't discover it. The lawn care worker thought it was the decoration. So, according to Queens City News, the body of Robert Owens, age 34, was discovered lying face down with only partial clothing on in the front of an abandoned house. Owens' body had reportedly been in the front of the abandoned house for days before the discovery was made that the body was real. One day, before the body was identified, a lawn care worker reportedly mowed around Owens' body, believing it was merely a Halloween decoration. All right, I'm going bold right here. That body's gonna stink. You don't go through people's yards and say, what's that funny smell? And say, oh, it's the Halloween decoration. No, it's the rotting corpse of the person. Don't know how you can do that. Kelly Sue Owens' sister told Queen City News, mow right beside someone and assume there are Halloween decorations at the house that no one lives at. Owens' mother, Brenda Bronston, also expressed her disbelief at someone mistaking Owens' body for a decoration. She told WCCB Charlotte, I don't know how he was mistaken for a Halloween decoration or a mannequin. He's clearly a human. According to the Daily Wire, Owens had last been seen by his family on October 1st, before his body was discovered on October 10th. It's 10 days. That body is rotting and decaying for 10 days. And I can tell you, because I live in Virginia, which is north of North Carolina, the beginning of the month, hot. That body is rotting. The family claimed the house Owens was found had been empty for a considerable length of time. My grandfather lived off of the Shoe Road for 40 years, Sue said. And he's never been to this house. He's never known of this house this far off the road. He's never been back there. He's never known to come here. The Owens family has been attempting to find out more information regarding his mysterious death. Although the family has acknowledged Owens' reputation for using drugs, they're still demanding answers for how Owens ended up dead in the front of an abandoned house. Local police notified Owens' family that Owens was not shot. However, the family was forced to press for additional answers from the construction worker on a property. So the construction worker found him the day after this lawn care worker saw him. The construction worker told us that he had cuts and scrapes on his arms like defensive wounds. His words. Shu told Queen City News, in the aftermath of the troubling discovery, Owens' family had continued to demand answers while processing the unexpected death. His nieces and nephews loved him. He had gotten my son a jacket, and he didn't even have the chance to give it to him. Shu said, through tears, "We want answers." A GoFundMe page for Owen's funeral expenses states, "Robert, we all love you and miss you dearly. Gone too soon, but you will never be forgotten. Your demon you battled here on Earth is over. May you rest in peace, Buddy," or it's supposed to be Bubby. "I love you." So that's our story of, seriously, I mean, you gotta be pissed at the lawn care worker. But it can't just be the lawn care worker. For a body to be laying there for 10 days in a neighborhood and no one see, smell, or anything. And yeah, we can't say with the cuts that the lawn character or the lawn care person didn't cause those cuts because they mowed around the body. So anything that flew out of the lawnmower hit the body and could have cut it. Now, if they were made before death, then yes, something fishy. I mean, something's fishy in general. He could have just died of an overdose, but that's just disrespectful to a person, you know? We've heard stories from places like Disney that used to use bodies in the theme parks, particularly on Pirates of the Caribbean. Yes, bodies were used, ladies and gentlemen, in Disney theme parks. There's still one skull, in fact, in Pirates of the Caribbean, that is a real human skull. The reason they can't remove it is that it belongs, or it's built into a bed. So if you're riding Pirates of the Caribbean and you get to the bed in the scene, there's a skull, and this is at Disneyland. So if you go looking for a Disney World, I don't know if that's real or not. But in Disneyland, the skull on the bed is real. It's an actual human skull. That's still in the park, and it's the only dead body that, or remains of a dead body, that is allowed in the park at this time and day. A lot of people try to put family members' ashes and get reprimanded by the park, but I mean, it's disturbing that somebody would do that. Obviously, the fact that somebody would take their family's remains, and I get it. I've got a lot of them are young kids that die at a young age, and people are like, "Oh well, he wanted to be happy. He wanted to see Disney World or Disneyland or Disney wherever. I'm going to spread his ashes here." And you want to know what Disney does? They vacuum it and throw it away. Your kids' ashes end up in a landfill. So you're not going to get the last wishes respected. They in fact say the Haunted Mansion is haunted. They say it's haunted, ironically, because people keep spreading ashes in there. So much so that they have a code for it. Same for other parts of the park. It's not a pleasant thing. Don't spread your ashes somewhere that you don't have permission, because they're just going to be collected and thrown out. It's never a good idea. I mean, there was a saying that some people wanted to have their ashes launched into space. I can see that. I can see that. I mean, the ashes are probably going to be burned up on re-entry if they don't launch it far enough. And even then, it's not going to be there. I mean, Gene Roddenberry, the creator of Star Trek, had his ashes launched in space. And NASA pursued it, allowed that, because it was Gene Roddenberry. And I wouldn't be surprised if any of the astronauts have done that. But, yeah, get permission before you put somebody's ashes somewhere. Just for your own sanity. I mean, there's some people that do the tree thing these days, where you have your ashes feed a tree, and basically they jokingly say, "You come back as a tree." No. You come back as fertilizer for a tree. That's what you are. You're fertilizer. Which technically, you get buried, you're fertilizer too. You're just fertilizer in a box versus fertilizer in something that's not a box. Me personally, I've debated. I mean, I'm getting older and having to decide, what would happen in my eventual death. I think I'd like just to have somebody take me off to the ocean and just dump my body in the middle of the ocean to be eaten away. I think that's more appropriate. Because you feed nature and you go into a water grave. I mean, it's a vast void that's a little more accessible than maybe the space one. Of course, I'd also really want to be, and this is the writer in me that's written about souls living on the internet for a while now. I wouldn't mind being uploaded. I don't mind the idea where you upload your brain and you live on as a computer program. I think that would be kind of cool. I mean, it's very much Futurama, the heads in a jar concept, but a little more practical. That your conscious data is uploaded to be used in the future. I wouldn't mind that. Now, technology's not there yet. It's getting there, but it's not there yet. So I have to accept that that ain't there yet. I think I unironically am going to go with the colors of the famed rivalry of Washington and Dallas. I grew up as a Skins fan, and I'm gonna call them the Skins. They, I know they got renamed to Commander. Well, first football team, which was a dumb name, dumbass name. And then to the Commanders, which they currently are. It was dumb. It was dumb. It could have stayed being the Redskins. It's was named after a coach of the team. It wasn't an insult to Native American tribes. There were a few people that claimed that, but if you actually learned the history of the team, they were named after the first coach, who was a Native American, and honored him with the title or with the team's name. But trying to tell people history is like, well, no one likes to listen on some of those. But it's true. I mean, we may cover history here and now and then on the stream. I will stay away from politics, though. It's not appropriate, and we'll try not to cover current events too much. There's, of course, one big event occurring now that hopefully doesn't get worse, but we're not going to talk about it here. Because this is a place for people to escape to enjoy things, maybe learn something, and just have some fun. Just have some fun. Kind of why this stream exists. I wanted to have another art stream. A lot of people wanted another art stream. And so I wanted to do something more topical. That we weren't just drawing requests and chatting with sometimes the people that made the request. We just showed the drawing process and talked about stupid stuff, like weird news. That's how this stream came about. Just random guys with skin colors. I do like writing for Demon Blade. I can get some weird stories out with Demon Blade, which I'm going to be able to do the same. There's a character that I've drawn out now that gets introduced in the next chapter, and which, by the way, Witching is delayed until December. I'm not releasing an issue in November because I just am nowhere near finished with it. So it's not appropriate to release at the time. So we're not doing a Witchin release for November. But I think next week, or not next week, next time, we'll probably do Witchin on the stream. Some of the drawings, some of the art. I'd like to get at least half a chapter ahead on Witchin because it's 16 pages each month. It's a lot of work, especially with me already doing Demon Blade, which is 4 pages a week, or I mean not 4 pages a week, 4 pages a month. Patreon requests, which is basically a new page each week of something else, and commissions on top of that, and then we do the streams. So it's a lot of time used, and Witchin, because of its length, I don't want the quality to drop, but I also can't keep up the way it's been going. So the first 3 chapters are out now, but the next chapter will be delayed a month. I might delay it until New Year if I don't get far enough on November. To my liking. Patreon sponsors and, well, no, yeah, just Patreon sponsors. DeviantArt, if you're a DeviantArt sponsor, so you're sponsored through our DeviantArt page, which is DeviantArt/EmbryoArts. You couldn't be a sponsor on the page, but the only thing you're going to see early is the Patreon work. Part of that is because I cannot continuously connect something without DeviantArt leaking it. So Demon Blade and Witchin will not be released on DeviantArt for early release. They may be, or they'll be released on time, but they won't be released on a early release. No, we're not at the number yet. All right. So I'm trying to finish up the blade a little bit here. Of course, the blade itself, when I draw it in color, has blue to black look. And despite this entire current chapter being about the sword maker, I don't explain why the blue mark, the blue look. Essentially, it comes down to the magic sort of infusing the blade and turning it black. And the best way to draw a black blade is to actually draw a blue blade. So that's kind of why the demon blade is blue. It's supposed to be black, but a black blade would not show up well on a comic, especially a black and white comic. So where's my limbs? Here we go. Well, let's do the rocks first. That's what we do. Okay. So when I did this texture, and it was painstaking, took me about 2 hours. I think I did it Sunday night. But yeah, I just draw little individual chunks. Try not to keep them even, so I have a unique pattern. And if you follow the old, this is 1960s book, How to Draw the Marvel Way, when they talk about drawing Ben Grimm, aka the Thing of the Fantastic Four, you see sort of the same elements treated when they're doing him, because when you draw a rocky figure or a stone skin or something, in order to make it look that way, it helps to have sort of this textured look. So it's what Kirby came up with, and frankly, Kirby's a legend for a reason. And it's good to learn, even if you just want to do anime styles, to learn some of the techniques that's anime or manga style. It's good to learn the techniques that people use to develop these textures. Because sometimes you need a good texture up here in your work. And that's what we're doing right now. I need a rocky texture on him as he's made up rocks. You know, it's so simple. What an ingenious concept. So, yeah. Draw out the structure and get it that way. Alright, so let's... Now, to get the different colors, I used 3 different shades of brown, and I purposely drew this by hand on a different layer. The coloring on hand on a different layer. So I can kind of mix up the colors a little bit. Not much going on, or that's going to be different in the leg parts that I'm drawing right now. When I do the comic, it's probably going to be 2 shades of gray, one darker, one lighter, and I'm probably just going to randomly draw them in on the arms, sort of the same way, but I'll probably use a texture brush to do the stone, to do the rocky elements to it, because it'll give it a lot quicker way to draw it. But for the cover, we'll hand do it. Almost gives him a little bit more. I mean, while I say it's rocky, it's looks more almost like a pine cone, in my opinion. But I'm fine with that. The concept is most the summons, actually all the summons, even though the golem's not a summon, because story-wise, he couldn't be physically damaged by the sword, so he can't become a summon. It's an issue that's more brought up when Lori joins, on how she becomes a summon. But for the golem, he never really is an official summon of the blade. But he represents Earth out of the summons. Lori represents lightning. Mino, even though he uses milk, represents water. Mai, of course, represents ice. There's another character, I don't want to reveal their name, that's going to represent fire. And another one that's going to represent, I mean, it's not really an element, but bugs. Bugs. And Hachi represents just beasts. So, I mean, sometimes they're not elemental based, but they have their own gimmick. Of course, power-wise, additionally, Eno represents plants, and Kyle will eventually represent wind. So, I can reveal those because they've been revealed. They've already been public for a while. And they're going to be characters that are elemental based. I mean, Mai and Eno's father is wind, especially during the spring break arc. You're going to see some and further points with spring. He'll introduce characters that have elements about them. You're going to see the character Sadie, who's a water-powered creature. We have the vampire, who's shadow-based, and the last one out of the spring break arc is a mimic. So it's not really power based, it's more a matter of it's supposed to be match Tetsu blow by blow. The perfectly synchronized combat, as they call it in Futurama. But, yeah, because the main fights are Sadie, who's a 2-chapter story, the Mimic. I don't even think I gave him a name. I just think I just call him a Mimic. The Vampire, who will lead to a different set of villains. And I don't remember his name. I know he has a name. I just don't remember it off the top of my head. And Spring himself, who doesn't really fight, but I mean, he does fight. He just doesn't fight Tetsu. Which is probably a good thing, because Spring would probably kick his ass. Well, more than likely kick his ass. Tetsu might outsmart him, but he's going to get his ass kicked. Not saying that the person who does fight him doesn't get their ass kicked. Because Spring is not all that he seems to be. He's hiding a secret even from his own family. One that he was going to reveal had Mai not had her heart taken. Of course, we also have upcoming villains, and I mean, after this current arc, villains, we'll have the Poultrygeist, which will literally be in the chapter 15. Eno will be a villain for one story, one chapter of one story. Mai being herself is going to be technically the antagonist of another story. And then we get to the Frog Demon, the first demon they actually have to fight. Definitely gonna have to redraw him, redesign him a little bit, but I'm gonna keep him sort of his weird look that he had originally. All right, we're on to our last story, and this one's my favorite. This one's it's by far the best one I've heard of. This man, before I even open the page, this man is a criminal genius. He has discovered a way to evade the police that no one has ever performed outside of a cartoon. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a man in Florida put up a sign saying he does not live there on his own house to evade the police. Needless to say, it doesn't work. Florida man, wanted by cops, tried to throw them off the trail by placing a big sign outside his house, reading, "Johnny Yates does not live here." It didn't work. Yates, 41, who was wanted by the Polk County Sheriff's Office on aggressive or aggravated battery, false imprisonment, tampering charges was eventually locked up. Deputies showed up at Yates' Lakeland home around 2:45 p.m. on Saturday after getting a tip that he was holed up inside. When deputies arrived, they noticed written on a dry erase board in the front window that said, "Johnny Yates does not live here." The post said, "Gee, a dry erase board never lied to us before. Should we believe it?" The deputies questioned someone leaving the house, who confirmed that Yates was inside. But after surrounding the house for an hour and calling for the fugitive to come out, the cops had to take it to the next level. The office said, I'm guessing officer said, a Florida man wanted by cops tried to throw them off. Okay, we covered that. Yeah. They basically, the next step was the county sheriff's office said enough is enough, and surrender smoke was dispensed inside the house, aka tear gas. The sheriff's office said the deputies called out some more, but still no response from Johnny. So after a second helping of surrender smoke, tear gas, was put inside the home to waft around a bit, it's still no response from Johnny. He must clearly not be home. He posted it. Finally, the deputies and K9 Dexter, so I'm guessing the dog's name is Dexter, entered the house and located Johnny, who was hiding in a modified chest of drawers. Johnny was arrested and taken to jail. The officer said 4 people who were initially held up in the house with Yates also dealt with. In regards to the 4 people who weren't cooperating with the deputies, each one received a parting gift of a charge of resisting an all expense paid trip to Grady Judd's bed and breakfast. I love the writing of this article. Polk County Sheriff Judy Judge, that is. So, yeah, this man right here, Johnny Yates, tried to fool the cops, and it just didn't work. It barely didn't work. Who would have thought pulling an old cartoon element of trying to redirect your enemy with a sign wouldn't work? I mean, the man, he's just some next level criminal genius. By far, when I heard about this story earlier today, I was on the floor. I was like, this has to go to the stream. This could not be kept hidden away. Oh my god. Alright, so we're in the last half hour. We're still working on the same cover. All we really have at the moment to do is the background, and I will do the text and the logo at a later point, because I can't, this is what frustrates me about the mobile version of Clip Paint, is it's not that friendly to making titles and text. So I much prefer to bring it in on my computer and do that there. But you can see, if I could, let's see here. If I eliminate all the characters, so, and probably might as well do this while I do the background. You can see I've got Demon Blade written right here. I've got the title, which is Into the Gridiron, right there, and story by, and my actual name. Not I. Even though I Don't Know is a great name, and we just keep on using it streaming, it is not my real name. It's not like I'm hiding my name. It's public. It's on my books. It's on my websites. So yeah, you can easily find my name. We're not hiding anything. Again, we will be on tomorrow night on Septum Sim versus the World anime anticlimax, unless something causes the stream not to occur tomorrow night, which would be out of my hands. It'd be somebody else's causing that issue. I intend to be there. We're going to be talking about the classic anime ghost stories. And it's one of the few anime that you can tell people do not watch the sub. And I will reiterate right here, the sub sucks. It is boring as hell. And while you can get a copy of it in sub, watch it in dub. Because the script is completely rewritten. The jokes exist, whereas the original was supposed to be serious, and just watching the series, you can't take that one as serious. You have to be like, this is a joke, right? But no, the original was meant to be serious, and it's just horrible. So yeah, it's one of the few anime that is recommended not by me, but almost everyone on the web. I'm sure there's one or two people like, I'd rather watch it in sub. Then it'd be like that. But it is revered as one of the best bad dubs that is intentional. Bad. We'll probably hit one or two other series that had changes in its dub intentionally. I mean, technically, there's been the issue going on for the last few years, particularly from Funimation, that they've reworded dubs or subs and dubs to be woke and have basically insulted the creators in that way. And I'm against that kind of stuff because you are editing what the creator intentionally created. But in the case of Ghost Stories, which was done by ADB, originally, the dub was done by ADB. In the case of Ghost Stories, it was a package deal. Anime, especially back in the 90s, into the, I guess the 80s a little bit. There weren't too many anime in the 80s that came out that didn't focus a little bit more on what the dub was, or I mean, what the original story was. But definitely in the 90s, when we had the boom with ADV, Pioneer, Anime Go, Viz, and eventually Funimation, because Funimation got started around that time. You would buy a series. I kind of really threw that off. You buy a series in bulk. And this is why 4Kids tries to state that they weren't intending One Piece to be as bad as it was when they had it. But yeah, they lied. They lied on that one. but you'd buy a series in bulk. Well, several series in a bulk. You'd get the one you were after. So, in this case, I don't know if it was part of Evangelion, but it was acquired around the same time as something else that they probably got that they wanted. And ADV was like, we have this show. It's 20 episodes. It's crap. It's a crappy show. And they asked the studio, they're like, hey, can we change this? And the studio's like, oh yeah, we couldn't sell this. Go right ahead. And so, since the sub was so horrendous of ghost stories, they created this dub. And the dub is just, it's South Park. It's anime South Park is the best way to put it. The other series that I know off by heart that was done that probably shouldn't have been done as dramatically as it was, but this was Funimation's doing, was Crayon Shin-chan. Crayon Shin-chan is still a huge property in Japan. Even though the creator died 2-3 years ago. And when it was dubbed by Funimation, they tried to make it American pop culturist. They almost were intentionally trying to do a ghost stories with it. And I'm not saying it's bad. It was somewhat enjoyable. It had its run on Adult Swim. But keep in mind, Crayon Shin-chan is a kid's show. And even in Japan, it's a kid's show. And Funimation made it more into crass adult humor. And while there's crass humor in Crayon Shin-chan, it wasn't in the sense that the show in America came out to be. I don't know why I'm doing too much with the goalposts. You're not going to even see most of it. So, yeah, you get some series out there, particularly back in, I'd like to say, the late 90s to maybe 2005, where series were just bought in bulk from studios. And they'd just be like, oh, well, here's this property that we have, and what do we do with it? For some, it was for the better. For some, it was the worst. I would say the only company that didn't really do that at the time in the 90s would have been Viz, which is ironic because there's some. Viz used the Ocean Group as their dubbing group, and there's some horrible dubs from the Ocean Group. But at the same time, the Ocean Group was used in a lot of kids' television shows, a lot of other series. Of course, had 4Kids who constantly edited shows, sometimes with good reason. But more often, it was in bad taste. Particularly when they tried to make One Piece too much of a kid's show. One Piece has its moments, but yeah, it's bloody, it's gory at times. It was not a kid's show, and you could have told that by the first few episodes. I mean, for God's sake, they're using real guns and shooting people. Now Luffy bounces back the bullets, but Zoro slashes people up. If you couldn't tell by then, there's no chance. Now, that being said, I do have to point out that the One Piece podcast group had discovered, I think it was like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, there was an Ocean group dub of One Piece. They never publicly released this dub, but they got a hold of it. The One Piece podcast got a hold of it, and they played it in an episode. And if you want to find the episode in their podcast, it's called Barbecue Time, because that is what Luffy stated. He'd be like, "It's barbecue time," and yeah, it could have been so much worse than 4Kids. Oh my god. So, yeah, you get good dubs, you get bad dubs, and then you get purposely bad dubs. Then you get purposely bad series. I know we talked about one last month on Anime Anticlimax, which was Shinesman, Special Duty Combat Unit Shinesman, that I watched as it was released in the US at a convention center. Katsucon, I believe 96 was the year. And so, I mean, we watched it there where it was premiered. And then the next year, they introduced another series that I want us to watch. And I know that the host, Brandon, has the episode or the series because I gave it to him. It was in my collection. And that series is called Elf Princess Reign. It is a 2-episode anime, so it's a short one, that is just pure slapstick comedy. I mean, I have not watched it in years, and I still am recalling it favorably in my own head right now as I talk to you about it. It is the most memorable scene is at the end of episode 2. They're like, "Oh, well, we want to continue the series, so we're currently rummaging around your pockets to try and steal money." That is how they end the series. And being at a con where it's being premiered and watching that in an environment that was crammed of people, you cannot help but hear the laughter in that environment. It's just that amusing. Let's try and bring up the rest of these panels. Just to get our full view of the image that we've been drawing all night. As we come to our close, our wonderful 3-hour stream, I'm gonna try and add a few stars if I got the right brush. It's rain. will just use sparkles. Yeah, that's too large. Let's see. Yeah, definitely shrink those. And just add a few stars. It's not too much detail needed because we still gotta put the title of the cover. But yeah, I got fairly good stuff done. I should do the highlights for my. Dropped one of my headphones. But we had our fun. We had covered some interesting stories. A lot of them Halloween based. And yeah, we're not going to do the stream next week because of Halloween and the unknown of trick-or-treaters. Maybe next year, if I'm still at this possibly haunted house. Which, by the way, leave your comment on this video if you're watching it later. And let us know, is this place haunted? And if so, give a name for the ghost. Poor guy needs a name, you know? But, yeah. Just having some fun, which is what this stream's about. That being said, as we throw in our last few minutes, we gotta give a shout out. Shout out to our sponsor, Built Bar. All right, we enjoy Built Bars pretty well. Is one of the few things I can still eat. Built Bars are a protein bar slash good substitution for a candy bar. They are a proud sponsor of both NASCAR and the Olympic teams. And the reason why I promote them, the reason why those teams promote them, because they focus on flavor first. They are low calorie, low sugar, high in protein, high in fiber, wonderful bars of real dark chocolate and flavors that you can only imagine how good they are. They come out with new bars practically every week. New flavors, new textures, new ways to eat them. And I mean, it's Halloween. People are gonna get candy. Why not get yourself something that's a little healthier for the candy? And it's a full candy bar size. We're not talking some little trick-or-treat candy bar. We're talking full-on Snickers size bars. Go to built.com. Use the promo code EmbryArts. You'll get 10% off your order. That's on top of any sale. So if they have a sale for 10% off on the site, you get 10% off there, and you get the 10% off with the EmbryArts code, so you get 20% off. So be sure to use that code EmbryArts on built.com, and you'll get a wonderful, tasty meal. I guarantee. Alright. With that being said, I'm going to zoom into our little art for the week. So, we have our wonderful cover. You guys get to see it first before I turn around and release it publicly. Well, I mean, technically it's public now, but the final cover will be released public. Probably, maybe the end of the week. But as always, I want to thank you all for joining, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, wonderful week, and wonderful year. Good night, everybody.